If you've ever found yourself asking other people for help on why you're not following through on your plans, you're asking the wrong person the wrong question. Hey, friends, welcome back to Work Life Harmony. I'm going to be really frank and honest with you today. This episode is about a question that makes my heart sink a little bit every time I am asked it. And believe me, I get asked it a lot. Now, my heart doesn't sink because I don't care about the person asking. My heart sinks because I literally cannot answer the question. And here is the question, or a version of it, that I get asked multiple times every week. People come to me and say, Megan, what am I doing wrong? I'm making my plan. I'm just not sticking to it. And so they come to me for help on what is the thing that I'm missing, right? Did I do a step wrong? Why is it that I'm really good at planning, but I'm not good at following through on the plan? Now, again, I hear this time and time again. And if any of you listening are inside of my top program, you've likely heard this come up on our monthly coaching calls. And I'm going to cut right to the chase. I can't help you with that, meaning I can't teach you the secret step that you're missing to make you do the plan, nor can I come in and make you execute your plan. The fact is, nobody can do that. There's no coach, there's no course that you could buy, there's no new app that you could download, there's no new motivational quote waiting for you out on Instagram you need to go find. No external person or thing can wave a magic wand to make you execute your plan. Now, here's what I can do. I can help you understand why you need to stop asking me or anyone else that question, and instead what the right question is and who you need to be asking. And that's exactly what we're going to be breaking down together here today. So, as I've alluded, the underlying issue is you're asking the wrong person the wrong question, right? When you've created a plan, you've got something that you want to do, maybe you're procrastinating on that thing, and then you're not honoring it. You're like, okay, well, I was going to do this right now, but I find myself not doing it. Instead of looking to someone else going, help, what am I doing wrong, right? The real question to ask is, turning it inward to yourself, asking yourself the following question. Why am I choosing not to do this? Now, notice I said the word choosing, because at the end of the day, it is a choice you are making, whether you want to own that or not. You are choosing to do something else instead of what you planned to do. And friends, that's okay. There are times I choose to do something else over what I plan to do, but it's because I know why I am making that choice. If you don't understand and intentionally choose, right? If you don't have that conversation with yourself to understand why you're making that choice not to follow through on the plan, nothing's going to change, right? There's no advice I could give you. There's no new planner that just came out for 2026 that's going to make you follow your plan. All right, hear me. You don't need a different planner. There's not even a new system, okay? Because this is internal work that only you can do. Now, I am an excellent planner. I teach planning. I can knock plans out of the park, but I still have days often where I look at my plan and go, I really don't want to do that, right? There's no amount of planning that's going to make you want to execute it and honor it and follow it perfectly every single time. So let go of that feeling that your planning isn't right if suddenly you're like, oh, I don't want to do it. That's normal. It's called being human. But what you do need to do now is to start asking yourself the right questions because it creates so much freedom. So when the time comes and maybe you're not following through on the plan, again, instead of looking externally, you get to have a conversation with yourself and say, Why am I not doing this? Why don't I want to do this? And then the next question I'll honestly ask myself is, and what are the consequences if I don't? Right? Because most of us don't want to look at that part. And so what happens is if you choose not to do it, you're like, oh, I created the plan, I'm just not doing it. If you don't have that internal conversation with yourself, maybe it's, I don't want to, it's not fun. I want to go do something else that's fun instead. Well, while you're off doing that fun thing, are you honestly having fun? Or are you subconsciously feeling guilty about the fact that you haven't followed through with your plan? Right? Because if you haven't made the intentional choice to say, I'm choosing not to follow this plan and I am okay with the consequences, right? If you're okay with the consequences, you made the choice, then you can probably go out and enjoy what you've chosen to do instead. But when you just ignore the plan, I don't want to, now you're layering on guilt and stress because you don't know when that thing's going to get done, right? So this is what we've got to fix. This is what needs to stop happening. And at the end of the day, what you're choosing is, do I want this temporary discomfort of doing the thing I plan to do that maybe I don't feel like doing? Or do I want a much longer extended discomfort of guilt of the entire time I'm not doing it, and then dealing with potentially negative consequences by not having it done on time, right? Neither one is desirable, but you've got to pick one and understand that you are intentionally making that choice. Planning experts, productivity experts, every person out there in this world struggles with execution from time to time. It is normal. The difference in what makes people follow the plans, have consistency, actually do execution is how they handle it in that moment. All right, so let's talk through some of the most common reasons why we fall into a trap sometimes of not doing what we planned to do. All right, so one of these might be if you're sitting going, all right, here was my plan, and now I don't want to do it. And now you flip the question to yourself, why? And really sit in that space. Maybe it's because you're battling perfectionism. Maybe there's something on your plan, what you're supposed to be, what you plan to do right now is something that you're a little nervous to start because you're afraid it won't be perfect, right? And knowing that is critical because now you can lean on the tools to support you if you're battling perfectionism. Maybe when you ask yourself the question, okay, why is it that I just don't want to do this right now? Maybe it's something where you're lacking confidence. Maybe it's something you're like, I don't know, like this is when I was supposed to sit down and learn that new thing. I'm not confident I can do it. You feel like you may fail. And so maybe it's that lack of confidence or fear of failure that's preventing you from honoring the plan, maybe starting that new thing that has you a little bit nervous. Now, the next one is one I hear all the time, and it's the big M word, motivation, right? You're like, I'm just not motivated to do it right now. Well, chances are, if you're not motivated to do it right now, you're probably never going to be motivated to do it. If you are waiting for motivation to come, you're going to be waiting a long time, friends. Stop waiting for it and understand that instead, in those moments, what you need to dig for is determination, self-determination to just get started. If I waited for a feeling of motivation, because that's all it is, motivation is just a feeling. If I waited for a feeling of motivation to do the laundry, we would never have clean clothes in our house. I am never going to be motivated to do the laundry. I'm never going to be motivated to scrub a bathroom or vacuum a carpet in the house. Never. But I do have the determination of saying, I'm just going to do this because the consequences of not doing it are worse than the temporary discomfort of just knocking it out. Motivation is a feeling. Determination is a decision. You have absolute control over that. Now, there's another subtle reason why people will avoid executing what they've planned. And it may be that you just have too much mental clutter. meaning it's really hard for you to focus, right? You've got 20 different things going on in your brain where you're like, oh, I just can't sit down and do the thing, right? And so the plan may be solid, but there's too much mental clutter going on. And there are all sorts of stuff that I teach in the top program of how we free up that mental clutter so that we're able to execute the plan. But you need to know, is this why I'm choosing not to follow the plan, right? Because the choices that you will then do and implement are different than if it's I'm waiting for motivation, right? Those are two very different reasons for not honoring your plan. And then the last one I wanna bring up, and again, there's many other flavors of this, but this one also is really important. It's kinda deeper, and this is one that does like, my heart really aches when I know this is what we're dealing with. Perhaps what you have on your plan is something for you, something just for you, and maybe deep down, you feel unworthy to have that kind of time for yourself. You feel like you need to be in service to others, and maybe it's selfish to do that thing that you wanted to do. And maybe you're self-sabotaging by not doing the plan because you don't feel worthy of the time, the peace, maybe the success that that plan would lead to. And if that's the case, now you know what the real issue is that needs work and focus. It's not looking for a different way of planning, right? Because that's not going to change that. At the end of the day, those questions, right? The question of why am I not following through on my plan? It is yours and yours alone to answer. I can't answer that for you. Nobody else can answer that for you. Only you will know. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you've got a plan in place and you find yourself moving further away from it and you're going and looking at your plan and going, oh, I didn't do that. And here's what's next. I don't want to do that. Don't go look externally. All right. Don't immediately go, I just need a new planner or I just need no. Pause and get curious with yourself and ask yourself, why am I choosing not to do this right now? Because it's a choice. Be honest, not mean. We're not beating ourselves up, just honest. Why am I choosing not to do this? Because once you know the why, then now you know what it is that you're actually addressing. And at that point, maybe it is time to bring in external help, right? If you are battling lack of self-worth, then maybe there is a coach, a therapist, a counselor that can support you through that, right? But notice where you're now going for help is at the real root of it, not I just need a new planner or a new system. Right? If you're not following the plan because of perfectionism, then you're working on the perfectionism. If it's lack of confidence, that's what we're zeroed in on, right? If it's, oh, I'm just not motivated, you get to pause and go, okay, is motivation ever going to come? No. All right, then I'm going to rely on determination and just go get it done. If it's mental clutter, then you put the tools in place to free up that mental clutter, right? So when you find yourself not following through on what you intentionally plan to do, then you get to say, well, what is it that I might choose instead? And if you make the choice to do that other thing, you're making the choice from a place of feeling good about it. There are times where I look at my plan and I don't feel like doing what's next. And then when I dig in and ask myself why, if I am realizing I've got a lot of mental clutter right now, I can maybe use a tool that I know how to get rid of some mental clutter. And maybe I choose to do something else that I was going to do 2 days from now and change my plan. In which case, I'm going to feel fine with that decision. I'm going to say, no, this was the intentional choice that I made, and I'm not going to beat myself up over it. But it keeps me in control. Honor that you're making that decision. Understand why. And then that guilt and frustration gets to melt away. Now, I know this is for many of you not the answer that you wanted to hear, right? You wanted me to tell you what the secret quote hack is, or telling you, oh, it's just because you missed step 4 of the planning system. That's why you're not following through with your plan. But the truth is, you already have everything you need inside of you to figure this out. You just have to be willing to look inward instead of outward. We have to stop asking others, why am I not following through? And start asking yourself. And that's where your breakthrough is waiting. And again, once you've done that analysis and had that conversation with yourself of what is it that is preventing me from honoring the plans that I've built, that I've created, that I felt good about, at that point, there may be external tools, support, and resources to help you, but they're supporting you on the right thing. They're not telling you to go buy a new planner. How I know this, it's not super sexy work, but man, is it worth it? And you are capable of this. And you are capable of creating a plan that you then follow through on. But you've got to understand yourself well enough to know what is standing in your way. When you've dialed in on that, and now you're addressing that, oh my goodness, you get to be unstoppable. And I know that everybody out there deserves to have that. I hope you found this helpful. And if you have a friend that is struggling with that follow through, feel free to share this episode with them as well. And I'll see you back here next week.